Thank you, Mayor. We're going to have a presentation by our Finance Director, Matt Dayton, and he will present the fiscal year 26 mid-year budget numbers.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Pro Tem Moore, council members. Feels like we're just doing this, but second time around for me for mid-year, but how time flies when we're having fun with the numbers. Here tonight to give you an update on kind of our request for additional expenditure authority, and then just a quick update on kind of the state of the business, if you will. And then we'll touch on the various funds that we've got: general fund, community center, parks fund, public safety and sales tax, CST, transportation sales tax, surf fund a little bit, and then our combined water and sewerage fund. Thinking about mid-year, things to keep in mind, all actuals are through December, through our first 6 months of the year. Since then, we've had significant inflows every year. It's kind of the same thing with the timing of property tax, so keep that in mind. Thinking about inflows, revenues, this is citywide. Revenues pacing below forecast right now, much as expected at about 43.5% of budget, primarily due to timing of receiving property tax. Most of that property tax we just received in the month of January, so we're in good shape there. Timing of intergovernment revenue, i.e. special road district revenue, some of that we have received a large share of that this month as well. And then we're being impacted to a smaller degree from the impact on lower interest rates. Thinking back to the budget, we were in that 5.25%, 5 3/8% on investments. We're down in the 3 3/4 rate, below 4 right now. So a little impact there. Let me back up there. Thinking of the chart there on my left, should be on everybody's left as you're looking at it on your screen. The gold bar there represents fiscal 2026, 6 months through the year. We're right on that 25 number from prior year. A little below 24, but overall in good shape. And then on the flip side of the income statement, so to speak, the expense side, we're right on budget, right at 50%. We do have some one-time impacts there. And you can see from the chart, we're trending higher than 24 and 25, which is expected, primarily just due to inflation. But if we think about the kind of the one-time things, from a favorable standpoint, we've got open headcount, we've got open positions, so we're receiving some savings from that. And then timing of supply and services expenses were below there. Going the other direction, timing of annual insurance expense, we've got about $1.2 million in liability insurance. We booked all of that at the beginning of the year, and so that impact will moderate throughout the year, but right now it's driving about a $600,000 unfavorable variance. And then timing of increased debt service expense, and what does that mean? From a citywide perspective and even a general fund perspective, we accelerated some debt service there in regards to, we had a line of credit with Security Bank. It's been hanging around a long time. We pay interest only. I think it was about 5.5%. Made the decision to use some of our excess fund balance to go ahead and retire that. It'll save us about $60,000 a year in debt service. So that becomes significant as we move forward from a savings perspective, especially given the fact that we're paying 5.5 and we can only get, say, 3 3/4 on our money right now. If we think about the mid-year request, so that was kind of where we're at today. As we're going forward and we're looking at expenditures and where we need some further relief or spending authority, we're looking at 3.1 million, and then you got the breakdown there on the left from a kind of a waterfall perspective. Just shy of 3 million from a general fund perspective, community center, a very small amount, 20,000, surf about 20,000, and then about 140,000 in sewer and water, total $3.14 million. The good news is that's down from, I think we were asking for 12 million last year at this time, so a lot different number. We think about the general fund itself, it's got the lion's share, again, 2.97 million of that. The breakdown there, 1.8 of that is really reappropriations of funds from prior year. So what does that mean in layman's terms? We had we essentially came under budget, or we didn't spend about 1.8 million last year, and so we're going to reallocate it this year. And then an additional 800,000 from fund balance to, again, to pay off the line of credit. We've got another 247 for Parks and Rec, 68 for Public Works, 25 for IT, and about 27 all other. Going the other way, we do have an adjustment to increase revenue for senior overnight activities at Community Center, which is a positive. And then here's just a line item breakdown of the 2.7 of the 2.9. This is non-Parks and Rec, so this would be everything else outside of non-Parks and Rec, and I won't go line item by line item, but you can see the different line items that have been requested and have been approved. I think for me here, the story really drops to the bottom of the page as we reallocated some of the funds and the savings from last year. Some of the big hitters there, and some of those may not be large from a monetary standpoint, but certainly significant from a, I think from a city standpoint. 20,000 for the dog park art sculpture. We have another, and I'll drop to the bottom line, another 18.5 related to that that's coming through GEPSI through private donations. So we've got about 38.5 that's going to that effort, which is fantastic. And then jumping it back up, we've allocated 180,000 to the 250th celebration event, 600,000 to AJ Farm Project, 50 back to our really replenish our FIFA World Cup fund, and then 750 to Road District, and then the 995 was the total amount of the line of credit. And then thinking about the balance of the 3.1 million, 247 Parks and Rec, and again, various line items, soccer goal replacement, duct cleaning, mowing line, line item increase. And then down at the bottom is a senior overnight trip. We're going to drive more revenue. We're also going to incur more expense to make that happen. Talking to Jordan, I think we've got roughly a 30% margin in that, say that line of business, if you will, or income stream. So we'll take as much of that as we can get. And then that bottom one, there's about 8,600 for AJ Barn Event Center. This is really kind of initial marketing costs, subscriptions to get that event center off the ground, so to speak. And then from a revenue standpoint, from a general fund, just thinking about where we're at year-to-date, overall revenue is in line with prior year performance. As I mentioned earlier, even at the city-wide level, we're at 45.2% on a budget of 50. Again, the primary chunk of our property tax comes through the general fund, so as we receive those and recognize those funds here in the month, as we're closing the books for January and we recognize those in our books for January, we'll be very much on track year-to-date from a revenue standpoint in the general fund. Here's just a composition of the general fund. You can see year over year, it's very much the same, heavily driven by taxes, obviously. And again, in line with prior year performance. General fund, on the expense side, we're pacing at 9% above prior year, which we would expect that from an inflationary standpoint if we just think about personnel costs in itself. We made some large investments there last year, and we're seeing the full impact of that this year. Accelerating debt service on the line of credit, and then thinking about our forecast or our budget, we're at 48.1%. So we're under, again, open headcount saving, timing of supply expenses, services, and then timing of capital spend. So we're in good shape there. And then here's just a composition of general fund expenses as well. And then you see a little shift in personnel costs, which I touched on that in the slide before, and then a little bit higher services costs. And then as we think about the general fund in itself, kind of where does it sit from a funds available standpoint? In 25 actuals, the kind of the bottom line, their ending budgetary funds available, we're at 15.4. 26 adopted, we're at 14.4, and now on amended budget, we're at 11, just shy of 11 and a half after we reallocate about 2.9 million based on tonight's request. Community Center Parks Fund, I mentioned earlier they've got a small request. This is really around temporary heating for the natatorium. Requested 16,000. We may not, no pun intended, burn through that much fuel, but we'll see. To give you a little more context, we had some heating issues there. Parts were on the order. Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think those parts are in transit, and this was just to make sure that we had a proper room temperature for events that are taking place during the cold temperatures, even though it's warmed up nicely in recent days. Thinking from a revenue standpoint in this fund, pacing at 4% below prior year, really timing of sales tax receipts. We see this kind of across the board a little bit. Sales tax a little sluggish through the first 6 months of the year. Lower banquet room rental, and then lower family membership enrollment to date. And here's a view of the composition of the fund itself, and then thinking about compared to budget, pacing 15% below budget. This really is almost exclusively a timing issue with the $750,000 that we'll collect from Kansas City School District for their mandatory rental. And then from an expense standpoint, year-to-date pacing 2% above prior year. Again, really inflationary impact. Timing of the annual insurance premium that I mentioned, and so their share of that's impacting year-to-date. Expenses, and then higher debt service expense year-to-date. Here's just a view of the composition of that fund. And then thinking about compared to budget, 49% of budget from an expense standpoint, which is right below target, which is good. Timing of filling open positions, and then timing of supply expenses, but in good shape year-to-date. Here's just a view of the available funds here. This fund, smaller in nature and much tighter, if you will, from funds available, about $1.8 million each year. We're still just right below that number, even with this small adjustment that we're requesting. Public safety sales tax, no request here at all, so maybe just a quick update on how we're pacing here. This is a highly restricted fund. Revenue pacing 5% lower, again, due to lower sales tax. And the composition here from revenue standpoint, almost exclusively from tax. Thinking about budget, we're 5% lower, again, sales tax, lower miscellaneous revenue year-to-date. Then on the expense side, prior year, we're also like that 4% below prior year. Lower capital expense, which is a good, going in the right direction here from a favorability standpoint, and then partially offset by higher personnel insurance expense, but 4% under plan year-to-date. And then a view of composition here in this fund. Pretty consistent year over year. Capital is down, and then services cost up year over year. And then expenses, again, I guess I've already really touched on those. And then moving into our capital improvement sales tax fund. No request for this fund as well. So kind of status quo from a performance standpoint. Revenue excluding transfers higher than prior year by 3.4%. Interesting that we've got better sales tax performance here where other funds are down. And part of me thinks maybe our allocation may be a little off, so I want to revisit that between funds. But we're in good shape here, as well as increased interest revenue, which makes me, again, think we may have an allocation issue, but nothing significant to be concerned about. And then from a revenue standpoint, year-to-date excluding transfers lower than budget by 1.9%. So to budget here, sales tax revenue is lower, as well as interest revenue. So year over year a little higher, but to budget a little bit lower. And then from an expense standpoint, budget of roughly $2.5 million. Expenses are higher by about $1.2 million over prior year, and that's largely exclusively driven by higher project spend. Some of the projects that have hit this fund year to date. Composition of the fund compared to budget, we're pacing about 12% higher. Again, project spend is driving that. Transportation sales tax fund, no request here as well. Revenue year to date, excluding transfers, 21.7% higher than prior year. Again, sales tax are up, timing of intergovernment revenue, and then higher interest revenue in this fund year over year. But then as we look at it to budget, we're pacing lower by almost 15% for the same line items. And then TST expense, excluding transfers, pacing lower than prior year by 19.7%. Composition, much the same. Like services, the big change kind of year over year. Other than that, it's very consistent. As we think about the fund itself, higher than budget by 11.5% from an expense standpoint. Higher transportation services. Got some overlap between the two transportation providers that's driving the majority of that at this point. And then timing of project spend, and then a little higher interest expense. SURF, a small request here of about $16,000. This is some trailing activity with our Microsoft 365 implementation that was completed this year. Outside of this, a very small fund, not a lot of activity here. It's about $500,000. Revenue pacing 6.8% above prior year, driven by sales tax, offset by lower interest revenue, and then from a budget standpoint, 48.3% of budget there, impacted by the lower interest revenue that we're getting. And then expenses compared to budget, pacing 51%. I guess it's below prior year. Lower miscellaneous services expense, and then year-to-date revenue is pacing at about 63.1% of budget. And then combined waterworks and sewage fund. Here we had two requests, two line items, increased line cost there, and then we got the second one's water meter line item increase. What does that mean? We bought some inventory, some extra inventory, so we've got that on the shelf. We've got a number of water meters that are out there, and Tim, keep me honest, that we've been replacing and plan to replace as part of a process improvement within that group. And so we've got plenty of inventory for those meters. It's a good thing. And then think about from a revenue perspective, year-to-date revenue is pacing 2% below prior year, lower commodity receipts year-to-date, partially offset by higher water metered sales, and then higher interest revenue. And then from a budget standpoint, year-to-date revenue is pacing 4% below budget, again, lower commodity receipts year-to-date. Hopeful that we'll make up that ground as we move here into the second half of the year. And then from an expense standpoint, year-to-date, we're pacing about $4.4 million higher than prior year. Again, we're spending a lot of money there in regards to our water treatment plant project, which is planned, and so making good progress there. And then expenses year-to-date, $1 million or 4.8% higher than our actual budget. Again, increased project spend, and then increased supply expenses. And then as we think about this fund, very large fund, 25 actuals, ending funds available, about 25.5 million. Same thing with our adopted budget and even with our amended budget. So in summary, again, coming kind of full circle, we're here requesting $3.1 million. Again, general funds making up the lion's share of that, about 2.9 just shy of 3. And then some of these, I will call them ancillary requests from the other funds to get to that 3.1. And then as we look ahead, similar to what we kind of walked through in the budget, I won't necessarily call them risks, but certainly there are considerations out there that could cause some risk to our budget and our performance. Reliability of the grant receipts from federal agencies. We've got a fair amount of dollars out there. Changes in sales tax performance. I talked a little bit about that, and that is proven out. Sales tax has been sluggish in areas so far. From an opportunity standpoint, the marijuana sales tax receipts and applications, the marijuana sales tax fund had ramped up nicely about a year and a half ago, ramped up to about 22,000 a month, and has really plateaued there and continues to be about 22,000 a month. not complaining, but as we're thinking about that fund, might be I won't say a cash cow, but an opportunity for funds available for necessary expenses. It's really plateaued and very consistent at this standpoint. Other considerations, changes in headcount in various departments. Obviously, we've got some headwinds, say within our police department and public works in regards to staffing. So we'll see how that plays out. And then the 2026 property tax reassessment period. And in addition to that, we had this, again, we had these in our initial budget, risk of statewide exemption on sales tax on food. That one right now doesn't seem maybe as imminent, but it's out there, at least from a risk standpoint. Volume of water main breaks continues to be an ongoing concern, continues to be an ongoing expenditure for us, given the different, say, the water tower improvements, and then the water plant improvements. I think the pressure on that infrastructure will continue to exist until those things are fully complete and stabilized. So I would expect us to continue to see some risk there. Unforeseen capital expenditures, the water treatment plant, that's a large project, and any variance to that large budget could be significant. And then the senior property tax freeze, that one is, say, a little more imminent, if you will. Right now, to date, we've got about $35,000 that's enrolled in that. And so for those of you that are not familiar with that, that's really a freeze on the assessment value of your property if you apply for that and qualify for that. And so that could, if you qualify, certainly it freezes the assessment. Then you're just kind of based on the actual tax rate at that point, but certainly you won't see the increases that the majority of the population has seen in recent years. That's $35,000 on a budget of about $4 million, so we're less than 1% impact there. So it's not significant at this point. And then in this world we live in, the regulatory and political impact, always have our eyes, at least one eye on that environment and what that might mean to the city and certainly to our financial performance. With that, that's all I had. So I'll open it up for questions, if any.
Thank you, Mr. Dayton. Do we, is there certain categories of sales tax revenue we're seeing declines in? Or is it across the board?
Kind of across the board.
Any questions?
Mayor?
Councilman Nave.
Matt, regarding the line of credit, I know that there's a request to transfer funds. There's going to be a request to transfer funds from the general fund to pay that off. Is the plan to leave that open and available or to close it out completely?
Right now, it's available. I mean, if, so think about rainy day, it's there, it's available, whatever, certainly. I would not be a fan of that, but, it would be available.
Excellent, thank you.
Matt, the proposed legislation on the state income tax, removing that, how would that affect us in the long run?
Are you talking around the property tax freeze, or you're talking different? You said income tax.
I think it's income, but, correct, thank you. So it is the income tax. In what I've read, that they would, halt the income tax, but then it would manipulate sales tax to make up revenues. So I just didn't know how that would affect us on a day-to-day basis.
I'll be honest, I'm not deep into that pool of political proposal yet, so to speak, but I'll make a point to get closer to it.
Yeah, it's coming around. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good job.
house into an Airbnb.
Good evening. We'd like to call to order the February 9th, 2026 Gladstone City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, please note that all council members are present. And I would like to invite you to all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Item 4 is approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections, changes to the agenda? Stand approved as published. Item 5 is approval of the January 26, 2026 Gladstone closed City Council meeting minutes.
Mayor Smith,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I move for the approval of the January 26, 2026 closed city council meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved. Item 6 is approval of the January 26, 2026 regular city council meeting minutes. Easy for you to say.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Nave.
I move to approve the January 26th, 2026 regular city council meeting minutes.
Second?
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes have been approved. Next, we have another 250 coin challenge presentation. Mr. Pratt, I believe. I'm coming. I'm coming. Sorry. Nice to meet you, sir. So as I see most of you in the room have been here before for these, this is a real, it's kind of a proud moment for all of us in government to see folks like you who are getting involved in what we're doing and learning about our Constitution and our country and just being a good citizen. And that's important, and we really appreciate that. Great. So I have a commendation for you, presented by the City of Gladstone and Clay County 250. This certifies that James Pratt has successfully completed the 250 Citizen Challenge, demonstrating a living commitment to informed, responsible, and engaged citizenship in honor of America's 250th anniversary. Through acts of learning, service, and participation, he has exemplified the spirit of active citizenship envisioned by our founders, proving that patriotism is not a status, but, excuse me, a practice. With the presentation of this Citizen Challenge coin, we commend this accomplishment and issue this charge. Continue your practice of citizenship, share the challenge with others, inspire your neighbors, students, and community to join you in strengthening our republic for the next 250 years. Presented on behalf of the City of Gladstone, Missouri and the Clay County 250 in partnership with the America 250 Missouri committees. So there's this. I will give you the coin. Sir. And then hold that up. Yeah. Listen, you gotta look pretty. Very good. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you. For an appointment of Sharon Euler to the University of Missouri Extension Council for a term of 2 years, March 1, 2026 through February 29, 2028.
Mayor Smith,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
It is my honor to appoint Sharon Euler to the University of Missouri Extension Council for a term of 2 years.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? We warned you when we first appointed you that we don't let go very easily. So if I may just get the roll real quick. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you. It's been my honor to represent Gladstone on the Extension Council the last 2 years, and I will be happy to continue to do that for the next 2 years.
Great.
And we'll be looking for my replacement then, because I'm limited to 2 years, to 2 terms. So we've got 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Nave, you have anything this evening?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Believe it or not, this February is actually the 50th anniversary of Black History Month. So in 1976, former President Gerald R. Ford enacted February as Black History Month, and given that this is the big 50th on America's 250th, I would just ask that you take a little bit of time to reflect on the great accomplishments that African Americans have made and continue to make in our country and in our community. There's a lot of great opportunities to take the family out for some free outings throughout the month. So the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is completely free this month, courtesy of the Royals. And there's a host of other events happening at the 18th and Vine District, both free and for a small fee. But I'd ask you to just take a look at Visit KC. Tons of awesome ways to engage. Thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilman Davis.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Spallo.
Mayor, just looking forward to this weekend to the Parks and Recreation's Daddy-Daughter Dance. Looking forward to volunteering at that on Friday night.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll be there on Saturday night, so get it covered. It's a great event. It's so fun every year.
Thank you. And I actually have nothing this evening. City Manager Bob Bear.
Thank you. I only have one thing. City Hall will be closed on Monday, February 16th in observance of President's Day, and regular business hours will resume on Tuesday, February 17th at 8 a.m.
That's it. Thank you. On to the regular agenda, which is we'll start with item number 11, which is a public hearing, application to amend Chapter 100 of the Gladstone City Code to temporarily relax short-term rental regulations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The process will be Assistant City Manager Austin Greer will make a presentation, then we'll hear from anyone who would like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this change. Public hearing is open.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City of Gladstone wants to welcome visitors to Gladstone and the Kansas City metro area for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which runs from May 1 to July 31, 2026. The event is expected to bring around 650,000 visitors to the region, creating a big need for extra lodging beyond what hotels can provide. Temporarily easing our short-term rental regulations during this period would help boost tourism, support local businesses, and create economic opportunities for residents who can offer their homes for lodging. Currently, short-term rentals are prohibited in the City of Gladstone. This change would be strictly temporary, and it would only apply from May 1, 2026 to July 31st, 2026, matching the World Cup timeline. After that, our regular short-term rental regulations would go back into effect, which prohibits them from legally operating within the city. In October 2025, during the City Council's annual goal-setting meeting, the Council expressed interest in exploring ways to relax our short-term rental regulations ahead of the World Cup. They directed city staff to research what neighboring cities in the Kansas City metro area have done or are planning to do and develop and provide a proposed ordinance for the Planning Commission and City Council to consider. For regional context, many nearby communities are taking similar steps to help with the expected lodging demand. For example, Kansas City, Missouri has introduced a special major event short-term rental registration for the World Cup period, allowing operations during the event window while keeping their core rules in place. Cities like Parkville, Independence, and others in the metro area are temporarily lifting certain restrictions, streamlining permitting, or suspending caps on rentals to increase availability. And Liberty, Missouri has developed a very well-regarded ordinance that several nearby cities have used as a template for their own World Cup-related changes. City staff has similarly drawn from the Liberties framework in preparing our proposed temporary amendment, as it provides a balanced, practical model for accommodating visitors without permanent shifts to local rules. The Mid-America Regional Council has also requested that cities consider supporting this event-specific approach that balances tourism benefits with community protections. City staff recommends approval of this temporary ordinance amending the Gladstone City Code to relax short-term rental regulations for the duration of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Thank you.
Any questions to Mr. Greer? Thank you. Now I'd like to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this change in our city code. Hearing none. Oh, nope, come on up. I'll rescind it for you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, City Council, I am in favor of tourism, bringing people in, showing off Gladstone. My only concern is what is the city public safety going to do about noise violations, the quiet time that's supposed to be in effect, because I live at 76 and 76 in North Park. Thank you.
You live on, yeah,
Yeah.
so you enjoy your.
And there is a house directly or catty corner across from us that rents out their house, their pool during the summer, and the noise gets so loud that it vibrates our windows. Can't hear our own TV inside of our house. We have called public safety. They've been out to that house several times. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. So I was just wondering what the city, if we do ease those regulations that are in place now, how is the city public safety going to enforce any noise violations, anything like that that may happen?
And Austin, before you answer, take that a step further. What is the process for filing a complaint, some sort of a nuisance complaint?
Yeah, so enforcement's always a challenge for short-term rentals in Gladstone, and that's just the honest truth. I mean, the duration of this is about 3 months. Enforcement's going to come between police and the community development code enforcement officers. Typically, we will write a ticket and we will bring them into court, and then it will be into the court system in front of a judge. Typically, enforcement can take anywhere between 45 and 60 days to get a determination on this, but the goal is to tackle it from community development and police at the same time. With this, we're hoping that people will be responsible. They'll abide by the law and just be responsive to what city staff asks them to do for the most part.
So that process is great, but it does nothing for them at 10 o'clock at night when their windows are out.
Well, we do have a noise ordinance that's in effect from 10 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. And police can write a ticket for noise ordinance if it is happening after 10 o'clock p.m.
And isn't the noise ordinance something almost related to noise that's carrying from your property line to the next property?
It's considered a nuisance, yes.
Nuisance, right? And we'll respond to that?
I sure hope so.
I'm going to say yes, we will, obviously. No,
We'll look at
honestly,
Chief Harris.
I go through the log every day and we respond to these calls every day. And the first step is usually asking for compliance. And then from there, they move on to more secure measures. But we answer those calls quite a bit. I see those calls increasing, possibly, but the way we handle those is probably not going to be any different than responding out, asking for compliance, and then taking action the second time we have to come out there.
I will say some of the resident complaints that I have received, because they tend to call sometimes, that Chief Ferris, we've been very good in responding to. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
So Austin, one of the reasons I think that we're doing this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because we know it's going to happen. We know that people are going to rent their homes. And so we're trying to put some parameters on this so that we can have more control over what's happening during the World Cup, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with actual ordinances in place that address short-term rentals, which is a modern problem that we're having, it's going to give us a little bit more teeth to enforce the regulations that we're going to put in place here temporarily.
And to hitchhike on that, the thought was, you're right, it's going to happen anyway, and it's better for us to know where they are, right? And so that's a big reason for what we're proposing.
Austin, is there an occupancy limit that we have in place for this? Okay.
Yes, we do. I believe it is 8 people
Okay.
is the max.
And then if a fine is addressed and that is, what is the term of action? Is that delivered to the occupant that has rented the home, or is that the homeowner itself?
Homeowner.
If I may, real quick, sitting here talking to the city attorney, we're looking over the ordinance, and there is a provision that serious violations on noise, that we have the ability to revoke the permit.
Okay, great. Good. Thank you.
Mayor Smith.
Tim Moore.
I had the opportunity to listen to the Planning Commission review this, and I totally am support that we need to do this. So saying that first, but as we all kind of agreed, and as Assistant City Manager just now pointed out, by the time this goes through the legal processes, they'll be gone, likely. So I think we need to have this in place so that we can have some more teeth to the ordinance, and we do have the ability on noise, et cetera. But I think I think it's a good thing to do, but I think we all need to just be realistic about the enforcement can be tricky.
So is that an administrative, or does it have to go, is it administrative? Okay, great. Good point. Okay. We shall move on to the first reading, Bill number 26-03, an ordinance temporarily amending Chapter 100 of the Gladstone.
Mayor, did you close the public?
I did.
Okay.
I closed it and reopened it temporarily.
Close it again.
See? As I was saying, first reading, Bill number 26-03, an ordinance temporarily amending Chapter 100 of the Gladstone City Code to relax short-term rental regulations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Mayor,
Councilmember Swallow.
I would like to place bill number 26-03 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, will you please read the bill?
First reading bill number 26-03, an ordinance temporarily amending Chapter 100 of the Gladstone City Code to relax short-term rental regulations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Smith,
Councilmember Swallow.
I move to accept the first reading of bill number 26-03, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Madam Clerk.
Second reading bill number 26-03, an ordinance temporarily amending Chapter 100 of the Gladstone City Code to relax short-term rental regulations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Councilmember Swallow.
I move to accept the second and final reading of bill number 26-03 and enact it as ordinance number 4.721.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilman Nave?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Spallo?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye. Bill number 2603 has been enacted as ordinance number 4.721 as of this date. Item 13 is first reading, bill number 26-04, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Clay County, Missouri to provide housing at the Clay County Detention Center for prisoners held on municipal charges.
Smith.
Councilman Davis.
I move to place bill number 26-04 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk.
First reading bill number 26-04, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Clay County, Missouri to provide housing at the Clay County Detention Center for prisoners held on municipal charges.
Mayor Smith.
Councilman Davis.
I move to accept the first reading of bill number 26-04, waive the rule, and place a bill on its second and final reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk.
Second reading bill number 26-04, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Clay County, Missouri to provide housing at the Clay County Detention Center for prisoners held on municipal charges.
Mayor Smith.
Councilman Davis.
I move to accept the second and final reading of Bill number 26-04 and enact the bill as ordinance number 4.722.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Nave?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Spallo?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore? Mayor Smith?
Aye. Bill number 2604 has been enacted as ordinance number 4.722. Item 14, Resolution R2607, resolution authorizing change order number 8 in the amount of $101,350 to the contract with Lena Weaver Construction Incorporated for the FY25 Water Main Replacements Project WP2587.
Mayor Smith,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I move for the adoption of Resolution R-26-07.
Second.
Motion and a second. City Manager, will either you or Director Nebergall address this? Is kind of a high-profile project.
Yeah, I'm going to have Public Works Director Nevergall come up and speak about this.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. On February 1st, the city had a water main break called in on Missouri Route 1. It's actually, the location was between 63rd Place and Shady Lane, so kind of in the vicinity of almost directly across the street, a little bit from the dialysis center. We started to excavate and determined that the water line was 15 feet deep in that location, so another location where the depth was just unmanageable. So we were able to kind of, believe it or not, we were able to find the as-built plans from Missouri Route 1 from 1966, and 10 foot of fill was put in that area in 1966. So at that time, we kind of put a plan together to, hey, is this an opportunity to raise this line from Shady to 63rd Place, get it up to a more manageable depth? So we reached out to MoDOT. MoDOT was actually very receptive. They can at times be somewhat protective of their right-of-way. We're actually, in this instance, receptive because they're going to continue their Route 1 improvements further to the south this spring. So the idea of getting this line raised and not dealing with a long-term maintenance issue when they're investing millions of dollars made sense to them too. So that's the change order that you see in front of you today. So that repair is underway right now. The new line is in the ground. It does look like a bomb has went off in that area. A lot of work in a very tight space, tight footprint. But beginning tomorrow, like I said, the new water line's going in beginning tomorrow. New sidewalks should start to be poured, and we hope by the end of the week that we're pretty much, people will, won't look like we were there anymore. But right now it looks like a war zone. So happy to answer any other questions.
No, it's just commendable that you're looking forward a little bit and having a little vision to what to do with that. That's great. It seems like either from there to 72nd and Oak to Inglewood and Broadway, we've had some really deep line replacements.
We've had several of them. We had a couple of them that were over 20 feet deep. So when we find them, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to make these upgrades when they present themselves. We also, in this particular instance, there were no line valves on Missouri Route 1 for 3 or 4 blocks. If you remember in goal setting, we talked a little bit about, how do we continue to improve our water system? And I mentioned, one of the things is making sure we got the valves in the right place and they work when we need them to work. But when you have 4 blocks of water line with no valves, and that's one of your main primary commercial corridors, it makes it kind of difficult. So we're able to add 2 more valves in that too. So it should improve response time in the future if we have any other issues beyond what we've replaced.
I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm always impressed by the way that you tend to pull things together when you have an opportunity to make things better. So thank you. Okay, all in favor of the adoption of Resolution R26-07, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That was an aye. Item 15, Resolution R-2608, a resolution authorizing acceptance of work under contract with Vance Brothers Incorporated for the FY26 Intermediate Maintenance Project and authorizing final payment in the amount of $7,143.28 for Project TP2603.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Nave.
move to adopt Resolution R-26-08.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye. Pose same sign. I will throw in just very quickly that I had an opportunity to go down to the water plant last week, and, we have quite a few improvements going on down there and a lot of work being done, and right on schedule. Is there any other business to come before the council? We're adjourned. Thank you for being here.